Hi guys, this is Vidas. Welcome to another episode of Learn with Vidas series. And today we're continuing improvising on the hymn tune Belmont Variations. Last time, a week ago, I taught you a few techniques how to improvise variations of this theme, but they were simple variations based on a bicinium technique for two voices, then trios in various parts, soprano, tenor, and the bass, and then we stopped after that. And it's just very natural that we keep going today, right? This tutorial has been requested by two people actually. Variation technique, hymn variations, was requested by Don, who is our Total Organist member, and the tune itself, Belmont, was requested by our good friend Rien Schalkwijk from the Netherlands. So I hope this will be useful to many people, of course, because this is a very useful technique to play during liturgy or even concerts. Another alternate name for variations, of course, chorale partita. But variations, it's not necessarily only Baroque style like in partita, but variations could be a little more romantic, a little more even modern. Today we're still doing classical sort of variations, classical harmonies, nothing too complex, nothing too advanced, right? But since we ended with trio and a week has passed, maybe you don't remember the name, let me first play the tune for you, the Belmont, right? And you will probably get the idea how it's put together, and then we'll talk about the first technique that I'm going to teach today. Okay, let's take a look at the Sweelinq sample set, Betz organ in the Lutheran Church in the Hague. Let me play with a louder registration, 8, 4, 2, and mixtures, and even foundations, right? Let's do this. And the pedals could have prestant, octave, bourdon, things like that. Even roar quint, all right? So, enjoy just the exposition of this hymn tune Belmont for now. All right, so this is the tune. Maybe we will need a little more juice in the trumpet, like this. One more time. Now Paulus is joining in the chat. Welcome. Good to see you. One more time. All right, so the first thing that I'm going to show you, the technique in 4 parts now, will be echoes, okay? After we played the trios last time, Let's now move to echo. Echo is like treating the chorale tune, the hymn tune, in excerpts, in short fragments, and jumping to another secondary manual to produce an echo effect, sort of with a different registration, usually a little softer. Okay, so now let's do this again, registration thing, and usually a very well echo sound with the read registration. So we don't need the Hauptwerk at all, but for example, Hauptwerk trumpet and Dulcian. Like this. Okay, I think it will be nice. These two, Shalmai, maybe even more. No, probably Shalmai is a little too much. All right, so let's talk about echoes. Okay, echo is very simple to produce if you have harmonization of the hymn in front of you, like I do in my hymnal. By the way, it's called 1940 Episcopal Hymnal. It's in public domain now, so we can use it freely. But you can use any other hymn book of your own which has BELMONT tune in it, or even if you find it online, it's possible to do that as well. Some, by the way, settings are in G major, some are in F major. I think most of the settings are in G major rather than in F major, so that's why I'm doing the G major version. G major, let me show you. The keyboard has one shaft from G, right? And now, in order to produce the echo, we will have to split the phrase, the first phrase, in half. Instead of playing I will do this. And after this fragment, this it's a motive, right? And then I will repeat it. And then next fragment, again repetition. Like this. We could do it, of course, like this. Maybe this way is even better, right? But basically splitting the phrase in half. And you can still use the same harmonies, and we don't need pedals right now. No pedals. Right, no pedals, but pedals could be left a little bit for the next round, next variation, right? Which will be in a moment. But now let's demonstrate how this echo might sound in its entirety. Okay, I will play it for you on Hauptwerk with trumpet registration and on Hauptwerk the echo Dulcian registration. Enjoy. Yeah, you see, very simple. You just split the phrase in half and repeat the same fragment on another manual. Hello, Sean. Hello, Don. Good to see you here. Hope you are having a good time. I'm certainly enjoying teaching you today. So there is another version to do echo. Let's say if you are on the organ without a secondary manual, on one single keyboard, what to do next? Can you play echoes on that instrument also? Yeah, I think you can, but in this case, let me play it one octave. Not one octave, but in F major, okay? Because the highest note is D now. Let me show you the keyboard D, right? Right? I'm jumping one octave higher, and there is a problem because the highest note is D in the tune. So one octave higher will be this D, not C sharp, but D. And this original key, not key, but the keyboard in Betz organ in the Lutheran church in the Hague only goes up to D. In Sweelinq sample set, in Hauptwerk sample set, it can go higher. Right, because there is a Hauptwerk sample set, by the way, of the same organ. So let me play for you in F major, one whole tone lower, and then the highest note will be C, and I can demonstrate it for you better this way. Enjoy. Echo on a single manual, jumping one octave higher. You see, jumping one octave higher, it's also not a bad idea. Even on a big organ, you can do this. But jumping from octave from keyboard to keyboard, it's actually easier. And if you are familiar with Echo Fantasias by Jan Peterson Sweelinq, he wrote, I think, 6 of them. There are both techniques, sometimes higher, sometimes on the same manual, but on a different keyboard, the same range. Sometimes one octave higher, sometimes on a different keyboard echo. You can learn both techniques. All right. So that's how you do it. Echoes. Easy to do. If you want more creative way to do this, you don't have to repeat the same harmony, for example. Let me show you just a brief version of the same phrase. You can reharmonize the echo, for example. Instead of playing this, like this, but you could change a little bit. Original, right? I changed a few chords and ended on C major instead of E minor, right? It's a little more colorful this way. Next. Instead of G major, I ended on the dominant 6-5 chord. Next. Now I don't have much option at the end because it's like a typical cadence, half cadence at the end of this phrase. You still have to do this tonic 6-4 chord and the dominant. But of course, if you want, you could harmonize this G and F sharp not in G major, but for example in B minor, like this. So echo would be this. Oh, that's pretty romantic treatment, pretty chromatic, right? It's possible. And so forth, right? You could reinvent the harmony on the echoes. It's nice, it's very nice, and not too difficult. All right, next. 4 parts. The next thing we could do, also not very difficult, but change either the harmonies, completely change the harmonization. Play it with pedals, let's say, right? Let's play it with pedals. Let me show you let's do it on the Hauptwerk with octave 8, 4, yeah, like this. Oh, like this. And let's now switch harmonies. Instead of playing everything from the hymn book, I will now reharmonize a few things, and we'll see how it looks. Maybe this will be in a similar fashion that I showed you in the echo when reharmonize some chords. Okay, all right, let's do it. Maybe I'll show you the keyboard view. Of course, I could change the rhythm as well, and instead of triple meter, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, I could reharmonize it and change it to duple meter, 1, 2, 1, 2, equal notes almost. Okay, let's show you. Let me show you. Yeah, you can see it. It's possible to change the meter, and now it's double and completely different character. Of course, you change the registration with every variation, and therefore it's already a contrast. You see, in variations, you could switch things like harmony, melody, rhythm, texture, dynamics, registration, right? And even a form. You can augment the form. Instead of simple hymn form, you could expand it into a hymn prelude, for example, with interludes, right? So any of these um, sort of say compositional elements, one of the 7 compositional elements, can be varied in a variety of ways, and you could do this all day, or just on one Belmont hymn, for example. You could play a variation, 60 variations on Belmont, right? 60, one variation, 1 minute, so your entire concert would be just on a single hymn called Belmont. You could, of course, change the key, and we'll do now this version too. For example, instead of G major, you could do G minor or E minor, parallel minor. Instead of major, you switch the mode or the key. You see the 2 options. Instead of G major, you could do a mode switch and still beginning on the G, but it's no longer a major, but G minor, right? 1 sharp, 2 flats, that's the difference. Or you could simply switch the key and keep the mode from G major, let's say, to D major, or from G major to B major with 5 sharps, or B flat major with 2 flats. Possibilities are endless here, but most common ones are changing the mode, right? And 2 versions of this is either you play instead of G major like this, you could play G minor, right? Or you could change it to a parallel minor. Instead of G major, you could do E minor with the same number of sharps. Instead of this, you could do this. Could be this way. I personally enjoy more G minor, from G major to G minor. It's a bigger contrast, you see, and bigger contrast is nicer, especially if you come back to G major afterwards, from G minor to G major to the next basically variation. That will be an even bigger contrast. Let me play 2 of them side by side, G major and G minor now. Okay, I will show you this side. And maybe let's switch a little bit of registrations also. Let's do quintadena and bar pipe on the Hauptwerk for the minor version. Okay. G major and G minor. So that was a switch from major to minor, G major and G minor. Hopefully you appreciated this way as well. What I did you notice the registration change? On the Hauptwerk in the G minor, I added the tremulant and vox humana. This is especially beautiful with the tremulant, and especially beautiful with the minor mode, right? It's sort of a weeping effect, right? And we are playing in minor mode, so sadness, weeping, quite appropriate. Especially if the hymn text allows this. Yeah, we haven't talked about text at all, but I'm just demonstrating techniques for you. But if you are playing, let's say, a real cycle of variations, and you are treating, let's say, in my hymn book, there are 4 verses, 4 stanzas, which means I have to look up the text and think about the character of the text and how can I color it, how can I do text painting in a way that it would translate in different colors of registration, different harmonies, different techniques, right? Even different tempi, dynamics. That's very, very suitable for any hymn, right? But a specific stanza might be sad, a little bit sad, so that's when you could do mode change, right? The question that Carla, hello Carla, asked, how did you do the harmony question mark so colorful? Harmony, which one? Oh, yeah, I actually I did I changed it to the chords which work with the G major mode. That was still major, right? But I reharmonized it. I used alternate harmonies, and so instead of simple harmonization provided by the hymnal, I invented some of the harmonies myself, right? Used more dissonant chords, more 4-note chords, like 7th chords and their inversions, right? And sometimes I chose to even to switch and modulate within the phrase and the cadence in a different key. For example, like this. So instead of ending on the tonic G major, I could end it on the dominant, right? Like this. Oh, that sparks. diminished seventh chord before the D major chord. And this is alternate harmonization, that's the basic. Of course, it goes beyond the scope of today's tutorial, because we would probably spend here more time than you have. But I could teach you some things at a later date if you want. Just leave a comment, please, of course. And of course, and your support, by the way, is very much appreciated. If you have requests like this, I prioritize people who support what Osha and I are doing, like channel memberships, right, or buy me a coffee donations and memberships as well, all kinds of things, PayPal donations, of course, because I have to treat people who support us with priority. So, but of course, I will consider every request. Right? So, having said that, I have showed you the technique to do the echo, right? Mode switch. Now let's do some things with pedals. And with pedals, it's very, very nice. With pedals, or you still have questions how to switch from G major to G minor. Oh, Don has a question, can that be combined with echo, G major to G minor? Let me think. Let me demonstrate and you will decide, okay? I will show you G major and G minor in an echo with the trumpet registration and the dulcian. Here we go. What do you think? I think it might work too. It's a little unorthodox to change the mode, right, in the middle of the variation, but you could treat it as the alternate harmonization, right? I think it does work. And we're not actually constricted with the typical Baroque style techniques which are used in partitas. In partitas you do, like Pachelbel's partitas, you do a variation in a major key and then switch the mode and do it with chromatics, for example. And you don't come back to the original key unless you finish entire variation. What I'm doing, it's actually a little more to the classical period, because the tune is actually from the early 19th century, so it's right at the end of the classical period and beginning of the romantic style. So changing the mode within the variation might be quite nice too. So Don, go ahead and experiment, of course, on your own. So next, now let's think what we could do with pedals and four parts, right? And there are, of course, more options, but most obvious ones. Soprano would have the tune, alto would have the tune, tenor would have the tune, and the pedals would have the tune. We could do each of them in turn, but I will tell you which is most popular. Soprano is most popular, tenor is most popular on a different registration in the left-hand part, and the bass is most popular. So maybe I will do those three for the remainder of the tutorial today, and you could then finish on your own if you have, desire to explore tenor or alto version, for example. But alto is more advanced, so therefore spend more time with this. So now let's take a look at different harmonizations and different registration, right? I will do two manual versions with a solo voice, and I need perhaps let's do Hauptwerk solo 8 for sesquialtera in tremolante. Okay, like this, and the Hauptwerk have either press stand or two flutes. Yeah, it could have this press stand. And of course, 16 and 8 in the pedals. Maybe a little too much on the pedals with the press stand, but bourdon and press stand would sound nice. Maybe I will do actually two flutes, or even quintadena and terror cloud. Maybe, or maybe without quintadena, but with the flute 8. And then I could have press stand. Alright, so this way. Now that we have registration, let's talk about what I will be actually doing. The soprano part will be played on a Hauptwerk on the first manual. Alto and tenor will be played on a secondary manual, on the second manual, so to say. And pedals will take the bass. Let me play it for you now. What do you think? I think it's nice, but it could be nicer, because it sounds very similar what I did at the beginning, right? With harmonization of the tune itself, with the theme. What I could do is to add variety to the right-hand part, to add some figurations and diminutions, and more melodic material to those passages. And then this solo registration with the sesquialtera would sound really, really nice. Let me show you. Funny thing, did you notice my right hand solo disappeared because D, C sharp, sesquialtera is still there, C is with sesquialtera, but B is without a sesquialtera. So sesquialtera is only from C up to C, right? So we have to do it one more time very carefully and not to overstep the boundaries of this sesquialtera stop. And that might be relevant to you whenever you approach a different organ, and some stops are not in full compass but half compass. Sometimes there is this bass trumpet, for example, which you have to play only in the left hand part, or sometimes discant trumpet, right, only from the middle of the keyboard upwards. Then think about that when you construct your melody. All right, did you like my version so far? If so, let me know in the chat. I will demonstrate it one more time. Don't be afraid to use a little bit of different melodic line, exchanging different melodic material, different pitches in the right hand part. A little more advanced, of course, but the harmonies will stay the same in the lower three parts, and therefore the tune will still be recognizable. Maybe this will be the next variation, right? Where in the first instance you just play with basic notes with figurations and diminutions, but keep the tune intact, and the next variation could be more all over the keyboard, right, like I did. Could be. It's all entirely up to you. I did it more romantic way, yeah, like maybe even some Mendelssohn technique would do it. Talking about Mendelssohn, Felix Mendelssohn, for example, wrote beautiful Andante in D major for the organ, and it has like a theme and a few variations, and one of the variations, I think it's right after the theme, it's actually the theme is in the left hand part in the tenor range with pedals, but soprano provides like a different descant. Yeah, so it's entirely different melodic material is in the right hand part, similarly to what I did today right now, but the tune itself is in the tenor, in the left hand part. Let me do it now for you with the registration that you will, I think, enjoy. Let's do the trumpet for 8 and Rohrflaut, and the sesquialtera could remain the same. All right, I will play the tune in the left hand part like this. Right, and I will play the pedals together. Right, but I will add a little bit of melodic motion in the soprano part with the sesquialtera. Okay, let me do it for you. The danger is going below middle C with the C squalter. And I did the trio texture now, right? Soprano was alternate voice. Tenor had the beautiful trumpet tune. The pedals had the bass. But you get the idea, right? Soprano or the tenor could have the melodic line. So now for the ending, the final variation probably could have the melodic material, the tune in the pedals. There is this Baroque technique, which of course was used in the 17th and 19th century very much, even in the 19th century sometimes too, to play the tune in the tenor range, but with the pedals, right? Without 16-foot registration, but on 8-foot registration. In fact, you could do it the alto range with 4-foot registration, which is a little more advanced, right? So you could experiment with that. Even some organs have 2-foot cornetto in the pedals. So you could effectively play the tune with 2-foot registration, but it will sound 2 octaves higher, and it will sound like soprano, right? That would be Baroque partita way to do it. Yeah, improvisers like Sice de Vries do it all the time. So if you want more advanced techniques like this, playing tunes in the pedals but in different pitch levels, go ahead and check out his channel. This is very advanced techniques, of course. You would have to translate it to your own human language, because Sice is genius. And for us mortals, we have to do it in a simpler way, with more natural explanation, more basic explanations for people to understand. But inspiration, of course, is in every video that Sice creates, definitely. All right, so now I will play the last variation, and the tune will be in the pedals on 16-foot registration with a real bass, right? Usually, if we're finishing like a partita or variation cycle, we will have to do the very loud registration. So let me do it. Let me show you what we have in mind. Let's do all the, maybe without the quintadena, but all the foundations, cornetto, trumpet, 8, maybe let's do fagot. It's not that powerful actually. Trumpet 4 could sound nice. And let's do a little bit of let's do without the Bovenwerk, but let's couple the Rugwerk principles. 8, 2, mixture without the tremolant. We need a little more mixture sounds in this, because I will now expand the bass. It sounds. And that would sound nice. So, yeah, I think we have this registration set, and let's talk a little bit about the bass. In order to play the tune in the bass, you have to practice doing that. So let me show you the pedals, and let's play the bass. All right. What's the lowest note? D. So I could play not in this range, but actually in this range. Very nice. I could do actually double pedals, but with these jumps, advanced. Obviously, we will need implementation technique in the pedals, slower note values. Maybe not for this occasion, of course. If your organ doesn't have strong enough pedals, that's when you could double the bass line with octaves. Play it, of course, slowly. Instead of quarter notes, do half notes, basically double the twice as slow rhythms, okay? So now let's talk a little bit about harmonization. You are now having a challenge, right? In order to play this variation, you have to provide at least 3 upper voices in the hands on top of the pedal line. New harmonies. So, instead of this, you will do this. And I will show you everything now. So that could be your final variation with the chorale tune in the pedals at the 16-foot level in the bass. You could play it with 4 parts, 5 parts, or even 6 parts. I think I just played it with 5 parts. 2 parts in the right hand part, 2 in the left hand, and then of course 1 in the pedals. This is really difficult to play, but the trick to do it is playing the right hand part, the right hand part and left hand part. Most of the tunes would sound in parallel thirds or opposite direction but basically with double thirds, like this. I'll show you. Like this. Like this. Of course, there is one more trick which you have to do is the top note, the soprano part, has to have melodic direction opposite than the bass most of the time. If the bass goes down, if the tune goes down, your pinky finger, your melodic soprano voice has to go upwards in order to avoid forbidden parallel fifths and parallel octaves, things like that. Always aim for contrary motion between the outer voices. That would be the best. Maybe I'll do it one last time for you, just to reinforce this feeling, and hope you will enjoy. And of course, I will probably now, let's do meter change. Instead of triple meter, I will do double meter in 4/4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. Common meter. So, this was my tutorial about improvising variations on the hymn tune Belmont, the second part. If you want to to check out the first part of it's the link provided is in the description of this video. Actually, if you're just catching up, I recommend you do it from the first part. Actually, both tutorials are very valuable in this case, from the beginning until the end. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for your donations, for your support. Hope this was useful to you. Really beautiful cycle of variations can be created this way. Thank you for your memberships, for your channel memberships and Buy Me a Coffee memberships. Really appreciate that. And your donations could be done, of course, like super thanks or super chat on YouTube, but could be done on Buy Me a Coffee, and of course through PayPal as well. Every link is available in the description of this video, and your support is immensely appreciated and helps to keep me going. Thank you so much. Send me requests for next time, what to teach you next. In the meantime, stay tuned for Fridays on the Bench with Vidas session. I will present to you live concert, right? And hopefully you will have a great week practicing your variations and improvising. All right? Thank you so much. Bye for now. And remember, when you practice, miracles happen.